All right, welcome. Thanks for joining us for the Forever Young Pak presentation. I'm going to jump right into this. I've been with Isagenix for over 16 years now, and prior to that, I was a mechanic for about 15 years. So I've actually been doing Isagenix full time longer than I was a mechanic, which is it's just been an amazing journey, and it's gone by so fast. The reason I started sharing proactively was because of my own personal results, and then my friends and my family, and it's been, like I said, it's been an incredible journey, and I really found my passion. You know, I used to change people's oil for a living, but now I get to change their lives. I put together this pack this way. We have a lot of products in Isagenix, but I put these two products together because of how profound they are with the science and how they support the human anatomy. Everybody's going to notice positive results in a very profound way from these two products. And then I recently added this. This is a new product that we have, and I've been very guarded on how to get people started. We want to keep it simple so that we can create a lifestyle, create some new habits. And if we do too much too quickly, it makes it difficult. But you'll see why I added this product this year with this collagen. It's a market disruptor. We're seeing results that are like we've never seen before in the beauty industry. And so I wanted people to know about this one up front. But we have a lot of other great products that you'll want to look into. But for the first 30 days, I really recommend getting started this way. So let's jump right into it. We're going to go into this first product on the telomere support. It's called Isagenesis, and we'll watch this ABC News clip, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
And now, eternal youth. Is it in a cage around the corner? News tonight of a breakthrough for some pioneering mice. But we always wonder, what does a fountain of youth for rodents reveal for humans? Here's Sharon Alfonsi reporting.
I feel tremendous.
In the movie Cocoon, it's a swimming pool that turns back the clock for a group of senior citizens. But now researchers have found a way not just to stop, but reverse the aging process. The key is something called a telomere. We all have them. They're the tips or caps of your chromosome, seen here in yellow. This is what it looks like in a young adult. But as you grow older, the telomeres become damaged and frayed. And as they stop working, we start aging, experiencing things like hearing and memory loss. Scientists took mice who were prematurely aged, added an enzyme, and essentially turned their telomeres back on. You can see it before the enzyme, after.
Their brain function improved, their fertility was restored. It was a remarkable reversal of the aging process.
Look at this picture. The mouse on the right has bad skin, gray hair, and is balding. But the one on the left had its telomeres flipped back on.
And you could see that essentially you now have a dark coat color, that the hair is restored, that the coat has a nice healthy sheen to it.
Even more dramatic, the change in brain size. This is before. The mice had 75% of a normal brain, like a patient with severe Alzheimer's. But after the telomeres were reactivated, the brain returns to normal size.
Okay, so did you catch that in the very beginning? There's a lot of stuff right there, and said that we told you that scientists have learned that you can not only stop aging, but actually reverse the effects of aging. And what they're really talking about is the degenerative issues that really disrupt the quality of life. And I was mentored by Bill Andrews. He's being featured in Popular Science here as the man who would stop time. And he's a geneticist. And it's his research and his breakthroughs that he had that ultimately led to that and the Nobel Prize that was given to this research. He talks about the plastic tip on a shoestring being like that telomere that protects the DNA on the inside. So think of the telomere, it's being depicted in red right here, as the cap on the ends of the chromosomes that protects the DNA. And the DNA is on the inside. So what the telomere is doing is it's holding these nucleic bonds together. So that's the steps in the ladder. And it's actually two sides of the ladder coming together and they connect right there. And that's called the nucleic bond. Now the telomere holds those together, kind of like the plastic tip holding the shoestring together. So when the telomere degenerates, there's a domino effect. These separate. And that's critical. That's going to produce a negative result or a negative consequence in the cell. So our chromosomes sit in the middle of every cell, and the DNA is like the software that tells the cell how to function. And so I look at it as like a zipper, because the telomere will start top down and start to degenerate, and then it'll just keep unzipping. And as it gets more and more unzipped, you're losing more and more DNA or software. So then the cell is going to malfunction. That's the cause and effect. Well, every degenerative disease has been linked to that. ALS, Parkinson's, lupus, diabetes, cancer, osteoporosis, cardiovascular issues, kidney disease, everything, Alzheimer's, loss of vision, loss of hearing, because the cells aren't functioning like they should be because they've lost the information. And everything in your body is made up of cells. So that's the negative consequence. And so that's Nobel Prize winning research. They pinpointed where the problems begin and why it's the problem. So when I learned this from Bill Andrews, like he had me at hello, because I was starting to see things that I had never understood, or, was explaining things that nobody really seemed to have answers to. I've lectured now to doctors, pharmacists, surgeons, chiropractors, nutritionalists, and audiences of all kinds all over the world. And the vast majority, over 90% easily, do not know the role of a telomere, what it is, and especially this enzyme right here, telomerase. Bill Andrews identified this enzyme in human cells in 1994. And he believed that this could heal itself. Like when we break a bone, the bone heals itself like on its own. It fuses itself back together. Or when we get a cut in our skin, the skin cells repair themselves. He believed that this could repair itself. And he believed that this was the cause of all of these problems. A lot of his colleagues didn't believe it. Like they thought he was going down the wrong rabbit hole. But he believed it based on, his educated understanding and the things that he was studying. Well, he identified this enzyme that he believed was the catalyst. And what he found is the cells were not producing enough of it inside the chromosome. And he got the cells to start producing more of it in a petri dish, working with human skin cells. When it started producing more of the enzyme, they started to see the cells repair themselves on a DNA level. That's the reversing effect that we just saw from ABC News, because the lost DNA was restored. And when it restored, and they did it in the mice like 10 years later, piggybacking off of Bill's research. But when this was all restored back to the mice, those things went away. And you can see this mouse here that had the enzyme activated. This one didn't. And this is their brains. This is before, this is after. You can see it's bigger, but also their cognitive ability came back. So what happened with the mice and the studies that I read, the papers that were published on them, their cancer was eradicated, their diabetes went away, their Alzheimer's, their osteoporosis, cardiovascular, every degenerative disease that the mice had went away. You heard it from Dr. DeFino, who was heading that up at Harvard. He said it was a complete reversal of the aging process. And that's why they gave it the Nobel Prize to telomeres. That would have never happened had Bill not had his breakthroughs and did all that he did with the skin cells. Now, while Harvard started working with the mice based on Bill's research, Bill kept focusing on things that we could consume, that us as humans would be able to consume, so that our bodies would produce more of that enzyme naturally occurring. And they found 8 things that actually worked in the human cells. It zipped it back up, but they were all chemicals that couldn't be used. And they had tested over 304,000 different, compounds. Took them over 10 years, $30 million in testing. But these red lines are the indicators that show that particular compound actually activated enough of that enzyme so the cells were repairing themselves, and they could see it right in front of their eyes under the microscope. And they invented this procedure. They're the only lab in the world that can do this still to this day. Now, John Anderson and Jim and Kathy Coover, they started Isogenics in 2002. And John's a world-renowned formulator. He formulated for over 600 companies. And his big, discouragement was that companies wouldn't get the product to the consumer the way that he knew how to develop and design them. He actually invented some things when it comes to formulating nutritional supplements. He invented some equipment and some processes, just like Bill did with, understanding how to activate the enzyme over here. And so when John was introduced to Bill Andrews by a friend of mine and an associate in the company named Peter Greenlaw, these two minds, John got so excited when he started learning about all this. He said, I had heard of telomeres before, but I didn't know that this was the correlation in the human body. And he said, had I known that, I would have formulated for him a long time ago. And he said, let's get to work. And they wrote up a contract and he started sending these little bottles over. Long story short, John was able to do in months what these scientists couldn't do in over 10 years. And Bill said they had up to 20 researchers working in his lab. And this is all they do. And John comes along and he does in months with natural ingredients that they weren't able to do in over 10 years. They called him a genius. Got to watch this happen. Jojo, who's on the Zoom here, she was witness to this as well. It was a very exciting time, and it's still exciting now, 10 years later. This was released in 2011. This is me at 36. That's me at 50, 3.5 years ago. Bill Andrews is, he's going to turn 70 in about a month. And he said he's crushing the world record for an ultra marathon. He's the oldest person to complete this race. It's at 18,000 feet and it's 138 miles long. And it's a running race. He's an ultra marathon runner. And he started beating records that he had set in races 20 years earlier after getting on the product. My daughter had the same experience. She's a dancer. She'd been dancing since she was 4. And she'd go for 6 hours a night when she turned 9, and she'd go 5 nights a week. And sometimes on Saturday as well. She noticed a difference the very first day she took the product. But then within 2 weeks, the owner of the studio was taking the product because her performance had improved so much. My daughter was already, I would say, the top dancer in the class. Bill's going to turn 70 and in about a month, and he said he's crushing the world record. And then Molly, she's the first one to complete that same race after getting on the product. She's the first female. And she was the 7th person to complete it in under 60 hours. They only give you 60 hours to run that race. Now we've got so many observationals. I've been on the phone with NFL athletes, actually an MVP guy. We were talking about trauma earlier before the presentation. This guy had a shoulder injury that wasn't getting healed. And there was nothing that he didn't have access to, but nothing was working. And I got on the phone with him. Within 2 weeks, his problem was gone. So we're seeing it in CrossFit. We have world champion CrossFits and figure competitors. And so why are we getting those results? Well, our telomere is going to determine how our cells are operating, and our cells determine how everything else in our body operates. Bill said there's no way you could put this in your body and it not work. This is the immutable data right here. And it's all natural. It just has a flip top lid. There's nothing synthetic. My granddaughter opened it at 2 years old and spilled them all out on the ground. You do 4 pills a day, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And I would say, well, they've said it, Bill and John, this is the greatest discovery of our time. I say it's the greatest conversation that we could be having. Nothing like this has ever been addressed or accomplished before. And we're talking about nutrition here. John Anderson being the genius that he is with nutrition, and Bill Andrews being the genius that he is with science and the technology, these two minds getting together has created this. And I would say it's the single greatest thing that anybody could put in their body by a long shot. There's nothing that even comes close in the second place. This is me and Bill, where he's endorsing this information that I put together. That was us lecturing together last year. And then he made a comment that I know more about telomeres than most telomere biologists. So I share this for credibility reasons. This was a video we did together where I was able to get the interest of the medical community with Bill's endorsement. And that's me over 10 years ago. So this again is for credibility reasons and just establishing that trust. Bill, even in that presentation right there in Reno, Nevada, he said that there's a lot of charlatans out there trying to push things that are not what they purport, that they claim they are. So the disclaimer, because it's an all natural product, we can't make any claims around curing any illnesses or diseases. The second part of the Forever Pack, so this is the telomere support. And like I said, it's nutrition, but it's specifically designed so that it's supporting that part of the human anatomy. But it's not a meal, and you are what you eat. And being introduced to isogenics way before this was even being thought of back in 2005, my health changed dramatically. And it was because of the nutrition and a couple other products that they had and we still have. And so I wanted to partner this up with something that would also help somebody to have a profound result. And that was our meal replacement superfood. It's a complete meal replacement. And so let's just talk about some of the things that I learned that made sense to me as to why I was losing my health, why I was fatigued, why the pain was setting in, and why I was feeling way older for my age than I should be, in spite of working out and eating healthy. In 1953, 1 bowl of spinach gave you enough nutrition that spinach provides for a week. How many bowls of spinach do you think you need in 2007 to get that same amount of nutrition you used to get in 1 bowl? And as I've done this in front of audiences, most say 5, 7, 11, every once in a while I'll hear like 20. It's actually 51 bowls of spinach. And the main ingredient that we're talking about here that was in the study was iron, which is an essential mineral that your body has to have. 51 bowls of spinach. There's no way you could do it. This is another study from the US Department of Agriculture showing the decline of minerals in our soil because they sterilize the soil with all the pesticides and herbicide use. And so the ecosystem in the soil has been eliminated. It couldn't live in, all of those being saturated with these poisons. And so that ecosystem could not create the inorganic minerals into water soluble minerals. And so as you continue to grow, you're pulling these minerals out of the soil, but they're not being replenished. And so now they have to grow food with fertilizers, and there's only a few minerals, like 2 or 3 different minerals, but your body has to have about 60 different minerals every day. And so they're drastically missing. And this is from, like I said, the US Department of Agriculture in 1997. This is the rise of disease as a result. And there's studies and documentaries that talk about this. It's common knowledge in the nutritional industry. This is a study that says you can't eat enough fruits, vegetables, and grains to supply your body with the minerals it requires because your stomach's not big enough. Now, that's going to fuel your body so that it's operating optimally and that you're getting the energy and the mental, chemistry in your brain that's produced from your nutrition. And but also the nutrition is needed for repairing. So when the body gets damaged or it's has invaders in the body and it damages the body, the nutrition helps your body to repair that. So it's 2 things: fueling the body, but also repairing. And we live in an environment, today that is not like it used to be when air was air, water was water, and food was food, and poison was in its own little container. It's not been like that for a long time. The poisons in the air, water, and food. One study back in 2008 had pointed out that they had never found less than 500 chemicals coming out of tap water in homes across America. And they found up to 800, between 500 and 800 industrial chemicals. This is a study where it shows that in babies, newborn babies, their blood that's in the umbilical cord, they study it and they never find less than 300 chemicals. And it's not 1 out of 10, it depends on what city you live in the United States. It's 10 out of 10. They never find less than 300 industrial. I'm sure there's a lot more, but you have to look for specific things, and they're only looking for a certain amount. There's so many chemicals and toxins in our air, water, and food now that are even getting to the baby before they're born, and that has negative adverse effects. Linus Pauling, who has 48 PhD, says every sickness and disease, that's the red line, can be traced back to a mineral deficiency in the human body. That's the blue line. All right, so most people don't know that you have to have 90 different nutrients going into your body every day in the adequate amounts. And you're not going to get them from your food anymore. Watch Food Matters. They talk about how you can't get it from your food anymore. You can't get it from the grocery store. It's just not there. I like this quote just to show how important those 90 nutrients are that we need every day. The reason one vitamin can cure so many illnesses is because a deficiency of one vitamin can cause many illnesses. So like vitamin C, we know that you'll die if you don't get enough vitamin C. You'll develop a disease. Anemic, having anemia, being anemic, that's not enough mineral, not enough for the mineral iron. Iron helps the body to distribute oxygen to your organs. Very critical mineral. A lot of people have to have iron transfusions because they're not getting it from their food. And that's a sad case when you're not getting it from your fruits and vegetables and grains. They're still there, but not in the adequate amounts. The Dirty Dozen, this is an independent lab that gives you the most toxic fruits and vegetables. They update it every year. These are the 12 worst. Celery's always at the top. And they wash them off, but it's on the inside because they're being sprayed so much. And it gets absorbed into the fruits and vegetables. And when I was juicing, I would put spinach, kale, and collard greens. I'd put apples and celery. I'd put that all in the juicer. These are in the top 12 most toxic. And they're minerally deficient. No wonder I didn't feel better. If I would have felt better, I would still be juicing to this day, but I didn't feel better. It was expensive, and a lot of them would rot before the week ended. And when your body goes acidic, you crave acidic foods, and now you're trapped into this whirlpool that just keeps sucking you down into more and more negative, health consequences. The minerals and the vitamins, trust me, they're not in your Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They're not in your fast foods. They're not in your Doritos and Flaming Hot Cheetos. They're not in your soda. And what they do is they exchange those nutrients for something. There's got to be something in there. They're cheap fillers. There's chemicals called preservatives. There's trans fats. Those are chemicals that man has made. And you know, you're two things going on here: nutritionally deficient, and then you have these harmful chemicals that have been proven, like the red dye and the blue dye. I read a study from Yahoo Health years ago, over 10 years ago, that they said 38 chemicals made up the cheese fuzz on the Doritos chips. 38 chemicals. Your body's not digesting that and utilizing it. It plugs up the body. It's hormone blockers. There's cytotoxins in there, and it makes your body more acidic. You want to be right in the 7 range to be pH balanced, and you're not going to get there from here. This is anti that. This is going to make your body go acidic, which is going to have all kinds of negative consequences. One of the biggest ones being shortening your telomeres faster. Bill Andrews actually proved that preservatives and trans fats shorten your telomeres faster. So we just want to balance out the pantry and make sure that we're getting the adequate amount of nutrients. That's the number one priority. Get those adequate amount of nutrients to where they're getting assimilated into the body. And if we can make it tasty and delicious, so much the better, right? What if we could actually save you money because it's cheaper than this other food that they're making out there that isn't really food? And then all the snacking in between. What if we got rid of that because your body's not hungry and craving those things anymore? And so that's what isogenics is. And when you get the right amount of nutrition in, your cravings change. But also when you indulge and you still eat some of these things, your body's able to eliminate them now instead of putting garbage on top of garbage on top of garbage. We're in a health crisis. There's no question. I mean, that's not even up for debate. In 2010, it was 1 in 3 pregnancies have some kind of irregularity. Something that shouldn't have happened to either the mother or the baby. 1 in 3. Obesity, I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 50% now. You only need to be 30 pounds overweight to be obese, considered obese. They were going to move the goalpost. I read an article, I don't know if they did it, but they were going to increase how much you could weigh, like go from 30 pounds to 50 pounds, and we'll call that obese now. So they could do the false advertising like, yeah, we're getting better and healthier as a nation. We have less obese people, but actually they just increased the amount of weight that you could weigh to be obese. I don't know if they did that, but we do things like that in this industry, in the health industry. And we're terrible at it, especially in North America. We're ranked over 50th in helping people to have a quality of life and wellness. So that's where, you know, nutrition comes in and taking personal responsibility for what goes into your body. Well, this is the solution right here. This doesn't only have 90 nutrients that you need to get to homeostasis, it's closer to 200. And then you have the telomere support, which is the foundation of every cell. There's no way you can't have better results. We have a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. And so what I'm going to say with the Forever Pack, for the first 30 days, don't change anything else. If you're not working out, don't start working out when you start this program. If you're not eating healthy, just keep eating the way you're eating, but add this. Do a shake every morning for breakfast and do 2 pills in the morning and 2 pills at night. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better, have better energy. You're going to have a better attitude. You're going to wake up earlier. You're not going to need as many naps. And somebody's going to ask you what you're doing because you look different. You're feeling different. Your attitude is different. And I'll guarantee that you'll save money over what you're currently doing. We see it all the time. We experienced it personally. So that's the Forever Pack Challenge. And like I said, 30-day money back guarantee. And this is the complete pack right here. You get 2 canisters of shake. So you get to pick 2 flavors. And all of this is a month supply. So just replace breakfast every morning for 30 days and watch what happens. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to go into the Forever Young Pack, which is the collagen. We actually look younger and feel younger on the Forever Pack, but this takes it to a whole new level. It almost looks like science fiction. Wait till you see this. But I want to share a couple of testimonies here and some stories that I have and some pictures of people who have very simply balanced out their pantry and whatever the consequences of that. This is a clinical study that you can read at isogenicshealth.net. Dr. Paul Arciero did it. And it made him famous. He actually has written books about it. It ended up in medical journals. The Mayo Clinic called us and said, we want to be involved with you guys. And they did it against people eating their macros. Like people say, well, all you need to do is eat healthy. That's what this study was. They had 2 control groups, the one that was eating healthy from the grocery store, and then people that were replacing 2 meals with isogenics and 1 from the grocery store. And with no exercise in 6 months, we quadrupled the weight loss, quadrupled the lean mass, like lean muscle. People got stronger. doubled the metabolism and tripled the toxins being released through the urination process. So the body's working now. And he said he wouldn't have believed it had he not done the study himself. But it was a peer-reviewed medical, and it ended up in the medical journals. So you can read that at isogenicshealth.net. People always say, show me the clinicals. Here's one of them. We have a lot of clinicals on our products. This is the observational that I got to see with me and my family, and my granddaughter here, London. She saw the shake, mom drinking out of that cup. They know what that cup looks like. Well, at least they know what's in it, and they love how it tastes. She already had a shake that morning, but she saw the cup and wanted more. So it passed the taste test. JJ Burton said that. He was an NFL athlete, and he says, even if it's good for me, if it doesn't taste good, I'm just going to be honest, I'm not going to stay on it. He says Isogenics totally passes the taste test. He actually became a millionaire recently in our company. This is Cosette. They gave her a candy bar when she was 3 years old, and she spit it out and said caca, because her body's alkaline. Alkaline bodies don't crave acidic foods. It's kind of like oil and water. It doesn't mix. And this is a lady, her grandson was asking for a shake, and nobody was making him one. And he kept saying shake. And so he went over and took matters into his own hands, grabbed the canister, and just started drinking it or eating it right out of the canister, because nobody was making him a shake. So again, this is all my family here, except for this little guy here. My daughter at her dorm in college. My son before school at 14 years old, taking the Forever Pack all on his own. I didn't have to say anything. It's totally changed our lives and the results that we were getting in our lives from our kids to us as parents. It's not a diet. We wouldn't be putting our grandkids on a diet, but it produces results that have weight loss as a side benefit. Heather released over 125 pounds. This is 90 days here. You can see her results there. She became a millionaire in our company with that picture right there. It's so much different when you're showing them your own picture, right? Everett, 82 years old, using the same products, actually put on 14 pounds of lean muscle. He was too weak to drive a car, and he used a walker to get around. After 30 days, no more walker. He'd come to the meetings, I'd say, Everett, where's your walker? And he'd say, I don't know, the grandkids were playing with it and they misplaced it somewhere. Same thing with Chase here, but he's a teenager, 82 years old and a teenager. He couldn't gain the weight that he wanted to. He was on the seafood diet. He'd eat everything he could see, but he wasn't putting on weight. He put on about 15 pounds of lean muscle, which is so exciting for, a teenager who feels like, I'm so skinny, I want to put on weight, and get frustrated. Nancy rocking it in the gym after somebody shared it with her. She's in her 60s there. So we just have result after result. There's Heather as a health coach now in People Magazine. And then this is Kenya in the 2018 edition of People Magazine in January, released over 439 pounds. This is a more recent picture of her. So all of those are Kenya. So again, so many observationals. This is mine. I was eating healthy, exercising, and Isogenics showed up. I ended up getting on it, and that's a month transformation. I was stuck right here. I was about 2.5 months, very frustrated, about ready to quit, eating super, super healthy and exercising. And, you just get frustrated. And I was hungry and tired all the time. And that totally changed in 25 days. And this is 4.5 months. And this, my results attracted other people to wanting to know what I was doing. And so I shared with them, and I ended up replacing my income by sharing, the products of Isogenics with other people, and just setting them up with their own account where they could get it the same price I was getting it for. And, my results turned a lot of heads. And so I said, this is what I was doing. This is a universal problem right here. And they saw me have the result, and I said, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And I actually replaced my income before I took this picture. This is 4.5 months, and I've been doing it full time ever since. Me and my wife are coming up on $10 million the company's paid us for introducing people and setting them up with their own wholesale account, just like we have. Then this came out 6 years later, and this just took everything to the next level, my business and my results. Absolutely phenomenal what this product is doing. So I put these two products together to get people started, but there's some other products, trust me, you're going to want to know about and have as a part of your daily routine. Dick's daughter, 82 years old right here. Amy came to a meeting that I was doing. And she couldn't believe it. And she said she had a whole new perspective on aging. And her father-in-law, who was having challenges at 82, she got him started on the product. And here he is at 83, here he is at 87. This is him at 89. This is him just before turning 90. And here he is at 90, totally turning back the clock. The body was being deprived of something nutritionally, and it got it back. This is a man-made problem right here. This is just supporting the body and giving the body what it needs to thrive. And this picture here, 12 years different, same granddaughter. That's Dick's daughter right there. Isn't that amazing? He's 91 years old now doing CrossFit. He's the only grandparent that's alive. And Amy said on the Zoom not too long ago that he wouldn't be around today if it wasn't for Isogenics. And I could truly say for myself, my own personal opinion is I wouldn't be around today. I know where I was at before Isogenics and what I was doing to get through the day. My body wouldn't have been able to sustain that. And here I am thriving. It's safe for any mammals. We have a lot of stories around dogs and horses. We have some Great Danes that live twice their lifespan. They usually live to be about 6, 7, 8 years old. Jennifer Page's one of her Great Danes, I think, was 15 years old. Anyway, we've seen some amazing stories around the turnaround with health with dogs and horses. Bob Sheridan's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's the only boxing announcer that is in the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's very famous in that community. And he was sent home from the hospital here. They said, there's nothing we can do for you. Just go home, get the paperwork ready. We know what surgery you need, but your body's not strong enough to withstand that. You wouldn't get off the table. So the body doesn't give up, though. The body's still operating. And Dennis and Sharon, they shared the product with him. And this is him 6 months later. And he's back to work. Like, he started announcing boxing matches again. This is an interview right here from Fight News. And they asked him, what in the world's going on? You were just in critical condition. We were going to lose you. You're an icon in this industry. And he talks all about this. They're like, what did you do? Tell us about it. And he talks about the isogenesis. And this is him at 1 year. And he bought a sports car, got a ticket going 120 miles an hour. Everybody believes the body can heal itself. But if the body can heal itself, then we'd all be thriving, right? We wouldn't be in this health crisis that we're in. Because if the body can heal itself, that means that you don't have any issues that you have to deal with. But everybody's dealing with issues, even at younger and younger ages. Why? Because kids' telomeres are shorter than they used to be because of all the processed food they're eating. Remember, those trans fats and the preservatives shorten your telomeres faster. Kids' telomeres are shorter than they used to be for their age. And so they're developing the issues that go along with that. So if the body can heal itself, then what's going on? Why is it not? Well, now you know a little bit of why. Nutrition plays a role, telomeres play a role. This gives great hope to so many people. I've had a couple different presentations where people were literally planning on committing suicide because of the pain and the things that the issues they were dealing with. And now they're thriving. So it brings great hope. It's a message of great hope. Bill Foster, his wife thought that, he might die on this hunting trip, but she thought, well, at least he'll die doing something that he loves doing and enjoys doing. This is about a 6-month transformation. And Malcolm, you shared it with Yolanda and Bill got started on the product. He was a little reluctant, but he ended up getting started on it. He put on about 40 pounds, started working out again, and got up to bench pressing 280 pounds. Then he sent me this about 2 months later, and he says, I'm bench pressing 300 pounds now. And then he sent this one a couple of weeks after that. So quality of life, right? I mean, just imagine what the day involves when you're in this kind of condition, and the stresses and the worry, and how your life is revolved around all that because it demands your focus. And then that doesn't have to be anymore. John and Kathy, they shared it with Joseph, who was living in this bus. This guy was legally blind. He couldn't even read an E at the bottom of the eye chart. That 2-inch E, he couldn't read it from 10, 20 feet away. And he couldn't go up the stairs on his own. And now he's driving. He bought an RV, started traveling around the world. He moved to Sandpoint, Idaho from Arizona, where I did the presentation. He was living in this bus in Arizona. 3 women brought him. He couldn't drive himself. He needed help up the stairs. And now he runs up and down the stairs. He'll skip 2 and 3 steps at a time. He chopped up a bunch of wood, loaded his truck, and carried it a whole flight up the stairs, and just totally thriving. And Sharon, who recently was introduced to the products and probably on the presentation here, she was born with some issues, muscle coordination and she was legally blind as well. But in her most recent visit, she was able to read the bottom line on the eye chart, the very bottom line, the smallest line. The doctor thought something was wrong with the machine. And she's also seen muscle coordination coming back and improving. So pretty amazing, right? The body's the miracle here, but we have a responsibility to give the body what it needs. Last story here, Karen, Malcolm called her because I was doing a presentation in Las Vegas, and he was going to be coming into Vegas because our big company event was that weekend. And he didn't know, he hadn't talked to Karen for like 6 years. She had been homebound for years, and she had already turned in the paperwork to the funeral home. And when she saw the presentation, she barely got there. And when she saw the presentation, she was so excited, got started on the product that night. This is her 2 days later. Like, remember I said my daughter noticed a difference at dance in the first day, and within 2 weeks, everybody's like, what are you on? This is 3 days. This is 1 month. This is almost 2 months. She went to Pilates, and I get this message from her, hey, I did 3 Pilates classes in a row. They think I'm like some kind of freak. And she totally got her life back. Her and her husband were so excited. And still to this day, I noticed I got a little text message from Isogenics. There's a little tracking system. She just enrolled somebody just the other day. So just thriving still to this day. And the funeral home actually called in December and asked where her body was. Her daughter answered the phone, and her daughter's she decided to live. Click, hung up the phone. So again, I don't, I got to move on, and I'm going to talk about the collagen. We're going to wrap this up. But this is the single greatest thing that anybody could put in their body. Who do you know that has cells? And then to combine that with the world's greatest nutrition, clinically proven, and it's just a 1-2 punch to helping people to create a healthy lifestyle. Me and my family now, 16 years going on this. But I did want to just share some pictures of some people who are taking this product. There's a lot of bullet points and science behind this. Jojo does a great presentation on that. It's 19 minutes. It's on YouTube. But they invented some and discovered some new things in developing this collagen. It took them over 10 years. Over 250 people were involved. I'm not going to go into all the science behind this, but I'll show you the pictures. And if you're one of those science geeks like me and Jojo are, then you could watch that, and she'll go through all the talking points as to why this is so different. But we did sell 1 million bottles in the first 72 hours. Yahoo Finance noticed, and they made an article on it. But that's kind of like a good trailer. A good trailer would get people to go watch a movie, right? But it depends on the people who watch the movie, if it's going to be a blockbuster that weekend. Because if it's not as good as the trailer depicted, people are going to say, oh, don't go watch it. It was so dumb. But if it's a great movie, people are like, go watch it. I'll go watch it with you. Let's go. And it's a blockbuster, right? Well, we sold 2 million in the second week, 3 million in the third week. From January to September, we sold 21 million bottles. We're now building a manufacturing plant right here in the US. So that says something, right? Well, look at these pictures. This is the first one I saw. We released it in Australia before they released it here in the US 6 months earlier. This is 42 days out of Australia. Look at her chin, her entire face, right? But I mean, she got a chin lift. And these are people from here in the US after it was released, and the company made us put 30 days on there, even though we were seeing results like this in less than 30 days. They're like, we don't need to sound over sensationalized. Put 30 days, and now we're into it almost a year. But look at these pictures. Wait till you see his third picture that I have with his wife. Because these are results that you just never seen in the beauty industry. Look at that crepey skin. In 30 days, gone. Carter, his neighbor, didn't recognize him. This lady here, it's just on and on and on these pictures go. So look at this yoga instructor in 30 days. She's already eating a healthy, disciplined lifestyle and living a healthy lifestyle. And look at the difference. She doesn't look like the same person. We're seeing things with hair. We have a lot of them with hair now, but I don't have some of the most updated pictures here. So this is him and his wife. And those are great, but I wouldn't say that's a market disruptor. I would say, yeah, if you're putting on all the stuff and taking care of yourself, and you probably get some results like this in the beauty industry and what they have to offer. But by the way, it's just a 2-ounce bottle, and all you do is just drink one every day, and it tastes amazing. So this was, I think, about 2 or 3 months in. Look at this picture here. That's the market disruptor. That doesn't even look like her. It could be your daughter. It could even pass as a granddaughter. But it's her. It's not a granddaughter. It's not her daughter. It's her. That's the market disruptor. Look at this guy, from that to this, just drinking 2 ounces every day. That's the market disruptor. And we see this consistently. It just continues on and on. I mean, this is just 60 days in. Some of these are less than 30. There's a lot of them that I've taken screenshots of, but I haven't put in the presentation. But I mean, you only need to show so many. Niquette, her husband went on the road when she started. He was a driver and gone for about 2 weeks. And Charmaine and Niquette called me up laughing. He freaked out when he came home. He's like, "Where's my wife?" And he was totally serious and totally panicked. Like, "What'd you do with my wife? Where is she?" And pretty funny, right? This one really touches my heart because we're talking about self-esteem and self-confidence and just how you feel about yourself. And especially for like teenage, hard time, hard transition, and to have, the odds set against you in different ways that don't have to be like that anymore. And this is 2 different girls, the one on the left and the one on the right. But this is a huge industry in and of itself. And imagine to be able to help somebody to have to eliminate that challenge. Pretty awesome. So last story here, Susan. Crystal worked with Susan. She's a home health nurse, and she had tried to get her on the Forever Pack for over 3 years. For whatever reason, she never got started on it, but Crystal didn't give up. But then she said, "Hey, our company just came out with some collagen. You want to try it?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll try your collagen." So that's how she got started, just on the collagen. This is the first 2 weeks. By the end of the month, she's on the entire Forever Pack. Because when people have results like this, they're like, maybe I ought to look into some of the other products. Well, she was like, maybe I ought to get on these other products she's been trying to get me on for the last 3 years. This is her 1 month transformation. So pretty amazing, right? And unprecedented, unparalleled results, because it's unparalleled nutrition. So do your own 30-day trial. For the sake of the recording, I'm going to end right here and just say, get back with the person that got you here. They'll help you get started. Everybody gets the products at the same price. There used to be a membership, a yearly membership, like Costco has a membership, and then everybody that shops there gets everything at the same price. They eliminated that. Every customer gets their own online account for free. And then you get the product, same price that I pay for the products. Everybody's the same price, even though the company's, coming up on paying me $10 million and I promoted it. Still get the products same price that I do. And it's a 30-day unconditional money back guarantee. You decide. You totally decide. If you don't like the way they taste, even if he gave you results and you call them up, "Yeah, I got the results I was looking for, but I want my money back." They have to give it back to you because it's an unconditional money back guarantee. So that's another social proof. We've had that guarantee for 19 years that our company's been in business. So get back with the person that got you here and they'll help you get started.